why would I stop myself now? If I know I'm happy, why wouldn't I clap my hands? Why wouldn't I celebrate? Why wouldn't I have cowbell for myself and for others who helped me get there? Hello, and welcome to Center for Victory's podcast of Your Best Day Yet. Here at Center for Victory, we're here to help unlock, reinforce, and enrich relationships through personal and professional development. I am Faith Guy, the Chief Joy Officer here at Center for Victory, and coming at you today with something that feels a little bit the opposite of joy, which is talking about the fear of success. Now, I wanted to label this episode, If You're Happy and You Know It, with no continuation of the clap your hands like we all know, because I feel at times, and what I've been seeing recently with my students, with my coworkers, with just my friends and family, it's kind of a weird season for a couple people because we're not allowing ourselves to get to the clap your hands. Like, we know that when things go really well, that it kind of can lead to two different feelings, to that anxious feeling or to that I'm excited about this feeling. So I kind of want to touch on today, what exactly is the fear of success, or that where does that even stem from? And how can our brains kind of differentiate anxiety and excitement? And how can we get out of the cycle of feeling afraid of all of that success? So, if you don't mind, I'm going to get started. All right. So, let's talk about what exactly is the fear of success. Now, I know that this sounds counterintuitive, and honestly, it kind of is. So, when I think of the fear of success, I'm kind of thinking of that feeling of not really realizing that whether you may deserve it, or the unknown, or that when things get really good, you could fall even harder than you would in the first place. So there are a couple ways that we can define that. And obviously those are not set in stone definitions, but I believe that sometimes what myself and what other people feel is that the more we succeed and that cycle keeps going and going, that's when it's bound to be doomed, or whatever quote unquote you want to say, or the harder that you're going to feel you're going to fall, or feel you're going to actually fail. So fearing failure and success kind of actually play hand in hand, which actually shows through our emotions. When we feel anxiety, and I know that kind of seems like a buzzword nowadays, unfortunately, but when you feel anxiety, that's also the same feeling you get when you feel excited. It's just actually how you label it in your brain. And I know my dad and I have talked a lot about this, and this is something I really have been trying to work on, but it's not my strong suit right now. It will be, we'll get there, but actually talking about this, maybe it'll help, and I hope it does. But so anxiety and excitement kind of actually play hand in hand. It's that feeling you get where you feel like you like ate butterflies and your stomach is turning, and you're just like, "Oh my goodness, what is this feeling?" Here's where it kind of goes, not a little haywire, but it goes a little bit south, is that our brain can't tell the difference between good and bad. Like, those are very subjective terms. So then we start to, if we're thinking negatively, that is then labeled as anxiety. So then, your heart rate is already raised a little bit because now you've labeled it as anxiety. And so you have this cycle now of, well, I don't deserve this, or like an imposter syndrome almost. Like, can I really do this? Is this really something that I should even be putting myself out there for? Is this, worthwhile? Meanwhile, on the other hand, and actually in the same vein of feeling that excitement, you also feel like you like ate butterflies. It's like, oh my gosh, this is everything I've worked for, everything I've persevered through. So why not you? Why not you for that? So thinking about that, and I know a lot of times for me, actually throughout my whole life, I've kind of been labeled, and I don't know if it's a self label or if it's an external label, but I've been told I'm kind of an overthinker. And I actually think that is a benefit to the things that I do now, because as a teacher, I'm constantly adjusting and moving with my kids, with my coworkers, with my leadership team, with all of them. And sometimes I do kind of have that imposter syndrome. I mean, being a 22-year-old teacher of sixth graders is kind of, I'm almost done with my second year as a sixth grade teacher, and it still feels kind of unreal. But I constantly remind myself that like that feeling I get in the morning when I show up to school is not anxiety that I'm not good enough, but I need to start labeling it as, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see these kids. I'm so excited to make a difference today. I'm so excited to use the gifts that I have because I'm placed here for a reason. And I don't know if you oftentimes talk to yourself like that because I naturally do not talk to myself like that either. And that's my title as the Chief Joy Officer, yet I struggle with that a lot. So it's normal to feel like this is like brain work almost. This is kind of like something you're going to have to keep working at. Like if you would go to the gym or, you know, eat better or some goal that you may have, like this is a goal that you really have to work at. And the best part is you get your whole life to work at this goal. And it's not going to be perfect every day, overnight, all the time. Don't expect yourself to feel like, oh my gosh, like I had a day today where I just felt like it wasn't real and I was anxious. And, it's going to take time. Everything good and everything worthwhile is going to take some grit, some perseverance, and a whole lot of patience and time. And I know growing up, like I had, obviously, you guys have seen how amazing my parents, both of them are, and how amazing Josiah, my brother, is, and now his wife, and being a part of our family. I mean, I've been so blessed by each one of them individually in such unique and exciting and amazing ways. But I have kind of, and I had gotten into this cycle of feeling like a lot of the things that were really good, especially right now in my life, were actually not deserved. And that kind of goes into a lot of what my dad talks about. I know when he coaches people and when he, is speaking to people and companies, we have a story that we constantly are telling ourselves. So if you're telling yourself that that success isn't deserved, guess what? That's your story. But if you're starting to change the narrative to your life, I mean, what narrative do you want to have for your life? Do you want to live your life afraid of all the things you can do or embracing the things that you're naturally amazing at? You have natural strength and ability. Why not go after it? And I think for me, I kind of had this weird cycle of like, whether it was a sickness or, I mean, I had surgeries a lot when I was younger and I was pretty sick. I was a pretty sick kid growing up. I mean, I've had like 5 sets of ear tubes, so on and so forth. And then from being a gymnast, and what that comes with is broken bones at times and injuries, and even just that feeling of, feeling like you're an overthinker when really I'm just analyzing my safety in that moment. But it feels a lot of time like, oh my gosh, I'm thinking and I need to stop. I need to just go for it. And getting over mental blocks is, 75% of the sport of gymnastics. But it's also 100% the part of you being successful. You have to kind of look at yourself and think, yeah, I do deserve this. And this is something that I want to chase after. And this is something I waited my whole life to see. Why would I stop myself now? If I know I'm happy, why wouldn't I clap my hands? Why wouldn't I celebrate? Why wouldn't I have cowbell for myself and for others who helped me get there? And it's hard. So I do want to talk about some ways that I've dealt with it a little bit because, and I say this as someone who is working alongside you and not talking at you. I mean, this is something I would say one of my biggest goals right now is to kind of change my narrative of, I don't feel like I belong in the sixth grade classroom with all these amazing educators in this amazing school district to, I do. And I do have a place there. And I actually have things that those people don't have. And those people aren't really as strong in. And that's why I'm there. And that's why I'm placed there. And I know that whoever is listening, whether, whatever your job may be or wherever you're at in life, like you do deserve success. So before we even move forward with strategies, you have to lay that foundation. Lay the concrete down so you can build the building. You have to know that this is not a rational thought. And it takes a lot. And I know, like with my mom, when I would have these feelings, especially growing up, was, you have to change your narrative. You have to change your perspective and constantly work at it. It is like you're trying to max out your rep at the gym or you're trying to, do something that scares you a little bit. And my gosh, maybe that's a good thing. So I want to talk about a couple ways that I have worked through this. And it kind of, again, goes hand in hand with what I talked about. And I know I sound like a broken record, but sometimes you need a broken record to change a habit. So my first one is that I think the biggest thing that you can do and the best help that you can do for yourself is build that self-awareness and identify and pinpoint your fears and your beliefs, your limiting beliefs, that is. So if you have this fear or you have this almost that imposter syndrome again, or you have that, narrow, your blinders are up view, how do you work through that? And first, it just takes me like, oh my gosh, I know this is not really rational. And I know that this doesn't benefit me in the long run. And it may actually, I know like in my role as a teacher, it hurts the kids if I am limiting myself to being a mediocre teacher instead of being the teacher I was called to be and being the teacher that I am meant to be in that setting. Like I'm 22, which is horrifying as a teacher, but it's also what if it wasn't horrifying? What if it was amazing? What if it actually is a little bit of a superpower? I mean, I connect to kids in such a different way than an experienced teacher would, but they have ways that they can help me grow too. So instead of looking at it as, like I shouldn't be here, it's actually really that I should. And I don't know what it is for you where that self-awareness piece can tie in, but work on when you have that thought, acknowledge it. Don't just brush it off. Don't, you know, kind of push it back in the back of your brain because obviously it's still there and it needs to be thought. And you are meant to have big feelings. I always tell my kids that, as you grow up, you're going to have big feelings. And guess what? Until your last breath, you are still growing up. You are still going to have big feelings. So build that self-awareness, change your perspective, and change the way you talk so you're able to push through those fears and limiting beliefs. Now, my second one is, challenge that. So then now that you've labeled it, right? So you're in your car or something, you're starting to feel that you've labeled it now as anxiety, but now you're switching their narrative to excitement. So challenge that anxiety and those limiting beliefs and reframe them to be something that's more exciting and more positive. So think of the ways that, why me turns into why not me. And then you're, instead of, being sad, it's raining, you're dancing in the puddles. Think of the ways that you can change those thoughts and those, what you've labeled as fear can now change into something you let yourself feel. Let light be light. Let good things be good. Number 3, I would just say is to set small, achievable goals to build confidence gradually. So again, I don't want you to think that this is something that can, resolve, I guess, overnight. This is not something I am naturally strong at either. So this is like almost a little to-do list for myself too. So you're setting those small goals. Like I know when I walk into school now, I have to write down 10 things I'm grateful for. And even that alone, I should have said I get to write 10 things I am grateful for. A lot of the times I just write down really simple things, but some days it takes, I mean, maybe I write 20 things because I need that reminder. So as you're working out this change of perspective, you need to set those small goals. Like how are you going to go forward working on not having limiting beliefs and not having fears? And I would say number 4 would be to seek support from friends, families, mentors, teachers, therapists, whoever it may be. Seek that support. You almost need like an accountability partner for this mental health change. I know that as I said before, my dad and I have been talking about the difference between anxiety and um excitement and how they're not really that different at all. And that support alone has really helped me start to change my perspective on it. And I mean, growing up, of course, my mom, when she would tell me, don't whine, just shine. But it's so true. I mean, if you choose to be upset, you're going to be upset. And if you choose to shine, then watch out because you're going to need sunglasses. That's just how it rolls. So seek that support and also be that support for people. I know that sounds, hard because it's like you're not practicing what you're preaching fully, but it's so important that when you give that out and when you're like, there's no need to be afraid and here's how I would help you and here's some things that you can do, you're actually kind of teaching yourself in the process. That's something I've learned teaching middle schoolers, and that's something I'm going to continue to learn growing up, and you're going to continue to learn growing up, and that's such a blessing, really. And number 5, I would just say is there's a big power and almost a big gift in being able to visualize that success and imagine yourself overcoming obstacles. Now, we all know, and this is a very blanket statement that you hear a lot, but I mean, your brain is powerful. Holy smokes. I don't even know the ability of my brain, and it is such an extraordinary thing, and your brain is extraordinary. That is also in that foundation that you have laid, that self-awareness. Do not forget who you are. You have a brain that is powerful, that can conquer whatever obstacles you have, and that can certainly let you let light be light. Let success be success. Let positivity shine through you. You deserve that. And I know that that's really hard to say to yourself all the time. So start small. Like number three, start small, start achievable, start realistic. You don't want to just throw yourself into this and think, oh, why is this not working for me? Why am I still thinking and in that cycle of toxicity that I've been in? No, it takes time. Give yourself the time to live in the moment, to be okay with where you are and be okay with that journey. I mean, we're not living each day for, just the highs and just the lows. Like this journey matters. Your journey to being okay with being happy, for clapping for yourself when you're winning, when you're successful, and even learning from those failures so that you can get back to that feeling again. Like it's not like this is going to be a perfect road. You are going to have bumps, but how you respond to that is going to help you be successful. How you respond to that is also going to be instead of reacting. So here we go again with reacting versus responding, anxiety versus excitement. It is how you think about those things and how you frame them to yourself and to your brain and to all of the parts of your fear that feel like they're overwhelming. Don't let them. You're in charge. Your brain is the one that's telling you, do you want to be afraid? Do you want to choose fear? Do you want to choose love or excitement or joy or passion? What will you choose for yourself? What is the story you are going to tell yourself? And, as I wrap up here, I just want to give you a couple, it is a very natural part of the journey, fearing a little bit. It is. It's normal. If you didn't fear at all, that'd be a little concerning. So it's okay to feel a little overwhelmed at times. And this is a very natural response to life. I mean, we have a lot going on, and I know I have a lot going on. I can't imagine you at home. You probably are watching this while doing two other things or listening to this while doing two other things. And you know what? I get it. I totally get it. So, take this as a learning opportunity and a stepping stone towards your goals. If you want to live a successful life, you have to start by thinking successfully. I want to encourage you to acknowledge your potential for success and take proactive steps towards your goals. Despite, any fears you may have, you have the strength and resilience to overcome obstacles and achieve greatness. Thank you for watching and listening today. That's all I have for you. If you want more information, visit our website, www.centerforvictory.com. And remember, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, make this your best day yet. Leave a comment below and let me know what you thought. Thanks so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.